Keep it simple, informal. Hey, everybody. It's Sandra from Keeping It Spiritually Simple. And today I have Dr. Sharnael. And it's been like 2 years since she and I kind of, and then life has happened and she's been busy with her stuff. Dr. Sharnael is an author. I like to say she's a social media content creator because she really puts out a lot of good stuff. She talks to a lot of people. She's got different social media platforms, which I will link here at the end. But we just happen to have an opportunity to reconnect. And I think it's a perfect time to start talking about things that we've known for a very long time that's starting to get out there a little bit because, as I think I said before, people's hearing aids are turned up. I think people's hearts are more open and they're more available to actually take in some information that may have seemed woo woo, whoa, whoa, wow, wow, like, ugh, you guys are weird. We're not. Um, yeah, so I think we're here at this moment in time. So welcome to the show.
Welcome and thank you for having me back. And hello to everybody out there. And really good seeing you again.
Awesome. Good to see you. Now listen, I know we're going to get into just a couple things, but I think one of the things people may have misnomers about is what exactly is a doctor of naturopath?
That's a good question. So basically, a naturopath, natural path. Think that way. Someone who really wants to look at some of maybe what they consider old school technologies, natural things as far as um, remedies where you may have concocted something from like trees and plants and herbs and all the fun things, which a lot of pharmaceuticals are basically started out that way. And then they had their little synthetic thing that they added to it, their hybrids, in order to be able to trademark it and copyright it and then own it because we can't own nature. So the naturopathic stuff is free, and the pharma, which is which that word actually comes from witchcraft, which is interesting because sometimes people say the opposite and they think all the witchy stuff is the oils and the herbs and making the concoctions, when really pharma is witchcraft. So they project and I guess accuse of the very thing that they're doing. So that's so funny. But anyway, I love doctors and surgeons. I'm not anti any kind of prescriptions necessarily, especially if it's really needed and there's no other way. But my first is going to be, how can we detox the body, because the body is meant to do what it's supposed to do. We are amazing computers, we're amazing machines, we're built to restore and to heal ourselves. But what happens is different things can kind of corrode it and block it and keep it from doing what it's meant to do. So detoxing is a really good thing. Making sure you have the right fuel. So diet and whatever you're drinking, whatever you're eating, what you're exposing yourself to, those things. So detoxing, making sure we're fueling, and then maybe seeing if there's some things that are missing, like on an orthomolecular aspect. There might be some vitamins that you might need to supplement, or like for example, B vitamins. We don't create our own, and neither do gerbils, and we're the only species that don't create our own bees. So we have to get it from an outside source or through food or some sort of supplementation. And so sometimes a naturopath will look at all three of those aspects and see, like, how can we implement some things in order to get your body, or a person's body, to be in the best healing condition and do what it's meant to be, which is not only physical 3D. It's also very much mental and spiritual, because all of that is very integrated. We look at things very, broad picture, big picture. Whereas on the Western side, let's say a person goes in for a thyroid issue, that doctor is trained to look at that thyroid, the end. Where a naturopath is trained to look at the entire body, Like for me, if I see someone who has a thyroid issue, then I'm going to say, okay, let's do a liver cleanse. And that way the liver, who is at the base of this triangle, will help with the adrenals, which will help with the whole endocrine system going up, and work from the bottom up to the root issue instead of the top, and primarily only the top, and not dealing with anything else. It's very segmented, very separate. One thing doesn't know what the other's doing. And what I see a lot in hospitals specifically is when there are a lot of different doctors doing a lot of different things, they're not talking to each other. And so there can be a lot of mishaps and misdiagnosis, and over medicating, and maybe things work together that, or don't work together, that have been both administrated, and there's a lot more accidents. And then if you don't deal with the root issue, which what most Western MDs will just deal with symptoms, a naturopath will deal with the root issues. So there's no more coming back to you. There's no more medicine involved. Everything is over. You may have a practice for a small amount of time to get things rolling, but then you're finished and you don't have those symptoms anymore. Versus someone who is very Western, you may get on a medicine and have to be on it forever because you're just dealing with symptoms. And a lot of times those medicines will cause the body to be like, oh, you're going to do this for me? Great. I don't have to do that anymore. Let's just rely on the thyroid medicine to do the work. And I'm going to sit back over here and put my energy towards something else. And that is dangerous because, if we had an issue, and let's say we brought our car in because the oil needs to be changed, and the light is blinking and there's making noises and it's really annoying, and you're driving and you're like, oh my God, please stop. You take it to a car dealer, look at the mechanic to have a look at it. And they're like, you know what, we can just turn this light off. We can just turn this noise completely off. You won't be bothered by this anymore. Turn it all off, and then you drive away, and a person's car will blow up like 2 weeks later because the transmission goes out. So when we don't deal with the symptoms, there can be bigger issues that get louder and louder, and or cause a total breakdown if we don't really hone in on why is a symptom coming up? What's going on with that? Is it something physical? Is it something emotional? Is it something mental? Is it something we can do easily with some healthy, changing your eating habits, or some exercise, or some vitamins, or some vitamin D, or go out in the sun, or get grounded, or all the natural things, versus, let's hit it with this surgery, or let's just take out the organ, or let's just hit it with some medicine and that blinking light will shut up. Doesn't work that way. So I love naturopathic medicine, and I love, seeing what we can do to help people, not only diagnostic, figuring out things, but then working to clear whatever needs to be cleared. 86% of all physical issues are actually emotional. So a lot of times I'm working with people's emotions and trying to figure out, like, where did this start? What happened during that time when this started? And for example, heart attacks. I have had people who come in, and not because they got this, but something else will cause that. And lo and behold, there was a church split, or a breakup, or their daughter left them, or that, there's some sort of split going on, which actually causes heartbreak. And things like that are something that we can look into and kind of reverse engineer it.
Well, that's very powerful. And we love our Western medicine community, and we know that everybody goes into medicine with the intention of helping people, getting educated, having a position where they can help people. But we know, and most of my friends who are physicians know, they're not getting any nutrition, they're not getting any herbal studies. They're trained to write paper. They're trained to write paper. So when you have somebody like, say, me or other people that may not have found a naturopath at the time, we'll question our doctors, and then they get ticked at us. Like, what do you mean? Your thyroid's fine. Look at your blood work. Look at the medication. It's doing great. But they're not realizing maybe T3 conversion of T4, whatever it is, happens in the liver or happens somewhere else, or something else is going on. So all you're doing is masking the original issue.
That's it.
And that mask leads to other problems down the road, because we have environmental stress, we have, atmosphere chemicals, we have input, ingestion.
Oh,
We have so many other things that are going on. Yeah. So I'm
electronics.
so glad that you were bringing that up. And I just want to make it clear that I know I would love to see more. And I, for decades, have gone in the natural alternative realm. People have thought I was crazy. And I said, look, I want to see East and West work together.
Yes.
Can't do that until West starts meeting my personal needs and my understanding of it. So I'm going East, and I'm
Oh,
going East all the way, but yet I need my West to sign off on things. But I'm seeing more and more physicians wake up and say, I can't answer that question for you. I don't know. I can't recommend this for you. I can't actually tell you to take this herb or do this test or try this new frequency machine because I know nothing about it. And my insurance company will rip my license out from me if I told you to.
that was
You
scary.
know, it is
And I'm
scary.
not anti-doctors.
I know that.
If you
Yeah.
need a surgeon, if somebody gets ran over by a car, I'm not going to be like, let's put an oil on it.
Yeah.
I kudos to those guys that do it. And when they do it right and they have the heart to do it, thank you so much. And sometimes
Yes.
medicine is needed. If someone needs pain medicine for a surgery, you got to do it. I mean, you don't got to, but it's a good idea to be out when you're having something cut open, or if they're,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe just for a short period of time. But some of these are very dangerous and they know it. And the way they test a lot of these things, they usually test it on a whole group of 20-year-olds that are super healthy. And then they go, okay, it worked. And then they just put it on the masses. And it's like, no, it worked for a healthy 20-year-old man, but this guy's 54 and blah blah blah. It's like not comparable. So I thank you for bringing that up, and also thank you for bringing up their training. They don't usually have the training. It's not like they're
No,
dumb. It's not like they're bad people.
no.
They do have the intent, like you said. A lot of them, like, they just want to see people get well, or maybe their parents died of cancer or something, so now they're on this mission to like heal everyone from cancer, and that's the only way they know how to do it. And it's like, you know what, there's other ways that aren't as um not with all the side effects, or not to
Yeah.
die from the cure, 6 years later or whatever. So that's a good point. My dad and my mom have been in the hospital. My dad's been twice. My mom's been twice this year. There's a lot of medical mistakes that have happened. They're very short handed. A lot of people have left the industry. There was times I couldn't even find anyone. Um, to help when everything's beeping or whatever. They're great for diagnostics. If you need an MRI or X-ray or labs, great, of course, do that. But they will even tell you, like, oh, well, that's interesting. We don't have a lot of training in that. Like, I'm seeing that too. I'm seeing people
Mm-hmm.
more open, and or even just saying, hey, I don't know, like you said, but if this is working, do that. But don't tell anyone I said that. It's funny because they can get in trouble.
Yes.
Scary.
Yes. Well, they learn on one module and one way to calculate. And then that's how they get their malpractice insurance, and that's how they get their licensures. But many are now waking up to, there's something to this other stuff. And I want to know more about it. And I'm glad to see that. And I think we're on this top of this roller coaster about to really take off and see so much more. I
Do you,
think that's where we are.
do you think a big red pill was the whole thing? And then now with Robert Kennedy coming in, like, what are your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on that are he's got the biggest bullhorn right now. We can't forget all the pioneers that have got us here, right? So many have got us here. So we can't go into that. We've got that savior mentality, right? This one guy is going to run with it and change everything. There's so many people that have got him there, but I think him having it, people are going to listen more because he crossed party lines and he's talking what is our crisis right now, which is our health. And then it's going to open the doors up to people who do healing work and have these backgrounds like you to open the doors up to other possibilities. I love the fact that you started in on the detox. There isn't a person in the world that couldn't use a detox. And when you detox, then you're taking the cells and you're saying, hey, we're going to reboot you. Now we're going to strengthen you. Now we're going to see where you are and what other problems may dissipate and then how we can treat it. So you have a whole barrage of things in your toolbox that you can share for that. So do you want to talk a little bit about basic detox? Because some people do take it a little extreme.
Yeah, I do a group parasite cleanse monthly. We're doing our next one
Okay.
December, I think it's the 15th, whenever the full moon is. And I have a whole group of that. It's completely free. I am doing a case study on a specific product, so that's the only thing that's like, I guess mandatory to be in the group, just because I want to follow the diagnostics of what people are experiencing with this product. But yeah, we have all kinds of detox equipment. I love the whole, I call it lavender and lightning approach. So, anything oils and crystals and herbs and all of that. But then also we have all kinds of actual like Tesla type technology, hyperbaric ozone therapy, which was the generator was actually created by Tesla, biofeedback, which honestly came from a guy named Royal Rife, who they, got rid of after he came up with it because they didn't want to have it be $1 million for everyone to have to pay for. But he's got, his Rife, and then biofeedback is kind of a collaboration of that and what they call Evox, which is your voice. So we could do biofeedback. I have lasers, I have infrared sauna, I have red light therapy, we have PEMF. All of these things help detox. They help open up the cells to generate more ATP in the mitochondria. They also open up the cells to be able to have better communication. So on a cognitive level, people are like skyrocketing because they can actually remember things and think about things and have ideas. Well, what a concept. But yeah, it also allows for communication and absorption of nutrients. So, we're getting rid of, maybe the bad things having to do with like the fluorides and the chemicals and all of those kind of things, but then allowing the absorption of the nutrients that we're actually eating. A lot of them will get rid of parasite and fungus and things like that, because even if you're eating the best clean diet, if you have parasites, then you're not probably even maintaining, absorbing any of that, and or even the supplements that you're taking. You could just be like literally renting them out and giving them away or eliminating them because you're not absorbing them, or because some other entity is taking them via parasites or like sugar and carbs. Really, fungus and mold love that, and they'll try to like hit all your buttons to make a person eat all the carbs and all the sugar. So I'm a big proponent of like a keto type lifestyle, carnivore type lifestyle, starve out all those entities that want to hang out and steal all your stuff. And it's like, I'm going to send your bags packing, and I'm going to keep what I invest in my body, and I want to absorb it. But yeah, a lot of those equipments are really great, just to kind of biohack through some of the detoxing, and but also induce energy, which when we have energy and the cognitive to go along, it's like, wow, I kind of feel good. That dopamine just kicked in. That serotonin is great. And maybe I'll go for a walk, or maybe I'll get outside, and maybe I'll go do things that I haven't done. Like in the last 3 weeks, I've been like literally buzzing and cleaning and cleaned out my garage, cleaned out my closets, cleaned out everything in the cabinet. I just got back keto at the end of October because I'm actually doing a no November, this thing that I made up. But
I love it.
yeah, I'm doing no alcohol and no carbs. So I wouldn't say I'm carnivore, but I'm pretty close to I'm a little past keto into the carnivore. And that was only because I went to an ozone therapy and prozolone therapy certification. There were 100 doctors there, MDs mostly, from all over the world. And when we would go eat breakfast, lunch, dinner for these several days, everyone, well, I would say 98% of the people there were either keto or carnivore. And I was like,
Mm,
what is going on here? And was very inspiring to me to hear their stories of what they're seeing. And I definitely fell off the wagon like during this thing, and I kept going, oh, it's just a week or two, and then it was a month, and then a year, and then it was like 3 years later. I'm like, 4 years later, I'm like, what? And put on about 35 extra pounds I didn't want to, lost a lot of muscle mass because two of my shoulders went out and I wasn't working out. I had some health issues with my C-section opening up, and so I wasn't in a place to exercise at the time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling better. I got one arm back. This is better. This arm's a little stuck still, but I mean, let's do it. And so I just kind of recommitted. And I realized that the big proponent in my uh, inability to stay in ketosis, for me anyway, was that one glass of wine at dinner. And so I would have that one glass of wine at dinner. It would sometimes turn into two, but something with the frontal lobe would just kind of go out the door after I had a glass. And it was like decision making was like boom. And I would end up snacking on something. I would totally blow my ketosis. And then the next day I would start over and I'd be great. And then all the way to dinner, and then dinner, I would do it again. And I just had this cycle of like dumb, 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 just so I was like, you know what? All I got to do is remove that one thing. I didn't even cognitively like put it together that that's what the thing was. I just kept saying, I'm going to start over tomorrow. I'm going to start over tomorrow. And I thought, if I take this out of the equation, frontal lobe is in full gear, like totally conscious, making all the right choices. And once I stayed in ketosis or got into ketosis, it takes about 48 to 72 hours. Dude, you don't want to go back. It's like I got my brain. I feel my energy again. I'm dropping weight. I'm having to buy new clothes. I feel so happy. Testosterone comes up, hormones balance. And I'm just like, dude, where have I been? I'm back. I love this feeling. It's such a good feeling. And like, you couldn't put like many times I've had the choice, like foods in front of me, cakes and birthday parties over the last few years. And the last few weeks, and we're going into Thanksgiving. I will not be, I'm not even tempted. I'm just like, nope, not worth it. Sorry. I feel too good to like give that away. And definitely killing fungus, definitely killing parasites, so much coming out. And I'm just feeling good. I'm clearing and I'm feeling good. I went to Mike Tyson's boxing thing the other night, and I was so pissed off when I left, because normally I would go to a concert or something and I'll like have a drink or, a White Claw or something. And I was so mad leaving. I was like, I'm going back to the hotel and I'm having a glass of wine. And I was like, walk, 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 and I'm so mad just about the whole inauthenticity of the whole thing. And
yeah.
get back to the hotel. We got up to the bar. I'm like, club soda with a little bit of cranberry juice and some orange, like squeeze some orange and lime in there for me. Cause I didn't want to undo. I worked out that day. And by the time I got there, I talked myself back into staying in my commitment. Because if you do drink, not only does the frontal lobe go, but when you are in ketosis and you're burning fat and you switch to that switch of burning fat, if you drink, what also happens is your liver's like, shit, there's poisons in here. There's no pocket of poison. There's no area for the poison to hang out. It just is there's no like poison section. I mean, the liver kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, this is first. We got to get the poison out first. We can deal with burning fat later, but poison comes first because we don't want poison. And so it turns into that whole time of having to detox the poison first. And then it's like, when that's done, we'll go back into ketosis. But that could be hours that I'm not burning fat. And I'm like, I'm not going to give up that. No way, no way. And I was so proud of myself. I'm like, just go to sleep with my club soda and my little bit of cranberry juice. And I was like, I'm good. I woke up the next morning. I'm like, just so happy.
Well, first off, I love the story because you humanize yourself so everybody can hear that. Yeah, I'm a doctor of naturopath and I've gone through this shit too.
Yeah.
I've gone through it too, and I've lived it too. And what you were just saying there is you were emotionally pissed and therefore you were going to sabotage everything. But something overrode it that just simply said, you know what? I'm kind of on a streak. I would really mess this up just for a little bit of alcohol. I don't think I'm going to do that. And that's where the mind has not been hijacked because it's detoxing, it's in ketosis, the cells are regenerating, and your taste buds are no longer like craving the chemicals that our bodies normally do, which is
So
what I wanted to lead to the questions. A lot of people are like, I feel fine. Why would I need to detox? Why would I want to go through a detox crisis like a lot of people have to go through? And explain why you don't have to go through that, even if you're really saturated with a lot of stuff. And listen, you can live a healthy life and still be very saturated with a lot of chemicals, whether you've chosen them or not, they're in your body. So how could they do like a light detox and not be afraid of, oh, I'm not going to start this till January? How do you get them to start it right now?
that's a great question. And a lot of people have said, why didn't you wait until January? Because I was going to start November 1st and do my no November because I was just like, it's easier to remember. But
It's
then, like,
easier to remember, no November.
yeah, right. I was just like, then too, I could say I'm on day whatever and easily
Yeah.
subtract it because it's the 16th. And I'm like, okay, it's 16 days, or it's today's the 18th, 18 days. But the more I was around other people who were doing it, and I actually, Laura Eisenhower and I did a retreat in Destin at the end of October, and there was a woman there named Valerie who, I mean, she was just so inspirational, and she had just got this aura ring, and she was doing all this detox, and she had quit alcohol like I think a year earlier, and she was just not even, I wasn't asking, I don't even know how it came up. I was on the beach and I just kept seeing her over there. And I kept going, I really want to hang out with her. I really kind of want to talk to her. I want to get to know her. She was with other people. So I waited. And then finally I was like, well, whatever. I just didn't try anymore. And next thing you know, I turned around, she came over to me. And I just felt like it was like somehow my energy summoned her. I had no idea why. We start talking and she's telling me her story about how she's, basically given up all this stuff and different things and just got this ring. I had this ring sitting in my Amazon cart for like 3 years and just wasn't committing. And she was talking about carnivore again. I'm like, dude, here we come again. She's from New Orleans, which is like an hour from me. She's an acupuncturist. She's dealing with like a lot of stuff that can maybe help my shoulder, just anyway. I was like, that's it. I'm buying the ring. Like it was the 27th. I was like, I'm leaving the beach. I'm buying the ring. And I know a lot of people don't want to do this kind of stuff because they might know what all this, and they know about, like they already know about everything. Like they just know. So what, it's too late. And and I understand electronically. And also for me, that's a choice that I felt to make. Um, and we text each other every day, and she's become a really good friend. She is a wealth of information. It was just like, I just love this woman. And anyway, she's doing what they call 75 hard. I don't know if you've heard of that, but there's like, so it's, you do set, I don't like the terminology. I was like, I'm going to do 75 soft. But basically, I mean, it's like hardcore what she's doing. I'm not to that level, but you drink a gallon of water every day. You pick any kind of diet. It could be keto, it could be paleo, whatever. You work out twice a day, 45 minutes each, and one has to be outside. So even if it's raining, you're outside in the rain. And then you read 10 pages of some sort of inspirational like book, or something that feeds your mind. So you're doing several things, and you take a picture before, and then you take a picture at the end, and there's like whole groups of people that do. I'm not doing that. I choose to do better at my water. I am exercising every day. I read anyway, every single day. um I'm doing all the things except for the twice a day. I only do once a day. I don't do that. Sometimes I'm outside, sometimes I'm inside. And I make myself do at least 30 minutes because I don't want to feel like a failure if I don't. I usually will go longer just because once I start, I'm like, I'm going to keep going. But I tell myself 30 minutes because I have a really bad ego. And if I don't make the 30 minutes, then I like beat myself up and I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm trying to be kind of like trick myself into things. But anyway, to answer your question, detoxing, you don't have to do it hard. It doesn't have to be crazy. It was kind of nuts. So on the first few days, there's lots of different fasts and different things that you could do to detox. You don't have to do it the hard way. You can make up your own stuff. And I started early because like, why wait until January to feel better? Like, why not feel good over the holidays? Like, what would be the thing? I mean, all I would do is actually mm, be sabotage my, like, make myself worse. So I'd have to undo more starting in January because
Mm-hmm.
I knew the holidays were coming up. I knew
Mm-hmm.
like I'm going to eat like crap. I'm going to drink like crap. I'm going to, do all the wrong things. I'm not going to exercise, if I had not started. Instead, I can feel like amazing and get shit done. Like I work so much more. I get up without an alarm clock. Um, the people who are afraid of like the detox, like, dude, the other side of that is so much better. And you probably won't even have a big detox. Yeah, maybe if it's a parasite thing, they might be screaming and being like, hey, give me carbs, because they want to have you eat all the things that are going to keep them alive. And when they start dying, they're just like, oh, and they're just like really trying to
Do
push all
that
your,
again.
yeah, they try to push all your buttons and be like,
Yeah.
I need cake. I need cookies. I
Yeah,
need
yeah, yeah,
snacks.
yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just like, shh. Like,
Yeah.
and then going to the fight, believe it or not, as pissed as I was also super freaking like inspired by the women who fought. Oh, they were badass. I was like, dude, I'm going home. And I did this too yesterday. I literally, the next day, I came home from Dallas. The next day, I went to Academy because I've had this bench in the garage with a bar with no weights. And I'm like, going, because I used to bench 145, no problem. I used to leg press 600 pounds. Do you know I could barely lift a 45-pound bar right now? Like I went and got it, all the stuff, and I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm getting buff again. I mean, I used to like I used to be a trainer. I trained people in the gym, and that was my job. Like I did cardiac rehab and helped people, get fit. And I'll have to show you pictures and you probably won't even believe me. But, and so I went in there with my little bar. My daughter was in there. She's benching like 75. And I was like, oh, I can barely do 45. I'm like, I used to do 100 pounds more than this. I need help. Like, so but I'm gonna get there. I'm getting there. And I'm just the fact that I did it, is more. I don't know. I feel happy. I'm proud of myself. And encourage anybody out there, if you think you can't do it, dude, you can. We all can. We can look buff and cool. And, they keep saying, make America healthy again. I'm like, make America hot again. Like,
Yeah.
let's get
It
it.
takes time, but you know what? We're all human. In the last couple years, everything just got tossed in a grinder. And even for me trying to go back to the gym, I was just trying to do a plank. And I think I held it for 10 seconds and then went down on the ground, got up again. And then I just looked around and just started laughing at myself. And I went, you can't blame anybody but you. You did this. You're the one that took 3 years off of working out. What did you expect? You know what I mean? And then I'm like, okay, so now I got up to 60. Now I got up to 2 minutes. Got up to three. Hey, you can always rebuild it if you take the time to set your intention. And it's important to you, because you're strengthening your body, you're strengthening your mind, but you're also cleaning out your cells through a simple detox, which I think we all need to do and get ourselves in order. But the coulda, shoulda, woulda, and self spanking has to stop. We just have to laugh at ourselves and go, I did this. I allowed it. I participated in not participating. So that's what
Absolutely.
I'm hearing you. And I'm like, I'm loving it because you're like being so real and I can relate to it. And I'm sure millions of other people can relate to it. Now I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about these forever chemicals. People don't even realize it. What's it? PFAS. What people read that label and they don't. They don't even understand what a forever chemical is. Can you explain it? It's like PFAS or something.
I'm not even familiar with what that is. What do you?
Well, forever chemicals, like chemicals that you take in that their body never knows what to do with it and it can't
Oh,
discard.
well, I know with antibiotics, they never go away. They're still in the spinal fluid forever. Fluoride, you mentioned that before.
Yeah.
They're mowing the grass now.
That's okay. You can't really hear it.
I,
Fluoride's a big thing. It was hijacked by the dentist's office. I mean, I used to go in and say no to for my kids and no to myself. You know, no one ever really argued with me about it. I think because deep down many of them knew.
yeah, I don't know if you could say that N word for the World War II, but those people did it to the Jewish people in the
Mhm.
concentration camps and the death camps to not only deaden their mind, but because it was linked to cancer.
Yeah.
And, we know about paperclip, and we know that a lot of these guys came over here as scientists to America. And guess what? They introduced fluoride because what is it? Where a person is easily controlled when they're dumbed down and their
Mhm.
pineal gland or pituitary is calcified so much. And they're even looking at autopsies of little children and babies that aren't very old at all, and they're completely calcified, which means they have no connection to source, no empathy to others, no compassion or ability to see the whole world as a unit. We got some work to do, and I'm really
Yes.
hoping, and I don't have the savior thing, but I do really hope and have a lot of hope because of Robert and what he's saying he's going to do and what he's been talking about for years. Like if you go
Mhm.
back and look at his speeches, he's been saying these things for years. He has a whole book about Mr. FAUCCI
Mhm. Mhm.
that if you haven't read it or listened to it, it's insane. I just reposted today a speech that he gave in 2019 that is just as relevant now about what he wanted to do then and will be able to do now. And the humility of this man to step down as president and get behind Trump because he said he's older and he knew that this was the only path where he could serve our country. I mean, my dream ticket would be them together, VP president, but I was like, I don't see either of them stepping down to take a back seat. Next thing you know, dude steps down and puts his backing. I was like, whoa, that dude. And his scalar waves are 900 out of 1,000, by the way. This guy
Mhm.
is a luminary. I mean, he is just a light bulb of radiance. And I have never tested a human alive that's 900 so far. So yeah, I do hope that this will be something that's taken out of the water and the stuff in the air and the pesticides and the herbicides and the paint, all,
Yes.
and maybe even like the EMF situation, the electronics, the wires, the 5G, who knows if he'll look into that, but we have a lot of things that can be changed and upgraded and shifted so people can have a healthier life.
Well, I 100% I'm behind all of that totally. And I know that each of us individually can do small things to help ourselves. Buying organic. People are, oh, it has to be grass fed. I've said for a decade, is it grass finished? Only because, I've got farmer family in Fairfield and Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So I've been kind of raised a little more natural. And so I always ask those questions when I go into restaurants. Is your fish, you know, farm raised, or is it wild caught? People would look at me like, what? And then I say, well, I got to skip that. Sorry, without being too overly anal retentive. I've gotten to the point now where I don't even eat out anymore. I rarely can even go anywhere. I'm looking at so many things in the grocery store. I already know which ones aren't, and I'm like, ugh. There's very few things I can even ingest much anymore that I could even if I cheat, I'm like, oh God, that just made me sick. Why did I
Right.
just do that to myself? So I'm just learning more and more myself. But what I did is I went through my kitchen. I got rid of any of the nonstick pans. I got rid of the plastic utensils, those fancy little plastic for the nonstick so it didn't scratch. I got a titanium cutting board, just little things I could do that weren't super expensive, that I felt like I was doing a little bit for me and the household that I'm in. And so these are things that other people can do too. Now, we talked about vitamin B in the beginning. We've also got vitamin D that gets regenerated from the sun. So I've been a big proponent against chemical sunscreens, and I teach that all the time because I work in skincare. And vitamin B, since we have to take it, how do our vegans actually get it if they're not taking a supplement? And a supplement doesn't really assimilate without food. So, how do vegans or vegetarians get enough vitamin B?
That's a really good question. I mean, most of the B stuff comes from things that they wouldn't eat. So supplements
Right.
would be the main thing. And or you can do like a liquid supplement that's the best absorbing type of vitamin B, or some sort of like a tincture vitamin D. I like to use nitro is a supplement that I use for B. I eat a lot of meat. So I'm type O and I eat a lot of meat. So I don't really have to worry about that. I get my iron and all my other stuff, but yeah, I do take what they call super B for adrenals and nervous system. Um, but really, really supportive. I actually have one copy of MTHFR, so I usually have to do something methylated. I would say that probably 90% of the population now has at least one copy of MTHFR. So something methylated is going to be your best. If anyone's interested in finding out more how to get either of those things I just mentioned, just hit me up and I'll give you links to that. But yeah, I mean, we have to finagle and do our best to keep our adrenals in check, to keep our nervous system in check. You know, vitamin B is huge. And like you mentioned, vitamin D is huge. And you don't have to do a whole lot. Believe it or not, tanning beds aren't actually bad. It's the stuff that people put on it, or going out in the sun isn't bad. Like I'm so glad you brought that
Okay.
up. It's the skin stuff that is so bad. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
it's cancer
Mm-hmm.
causing. And what is happening is it's burning into, this shield that we are wearing that covers everything, that absorbs so much. And so like sun gazing in the morning or at sunset is amazing to come into the eyes and change the chemistry of the body, to uplift. Um, I had a bed, not I didn't own a bed, but I used to go to a bed. And when I got my labs done, the doctor who tested me was like, "What are you doing? Your vitamin D is like 65, 70." Like I think it was like 68. I'm like, I'm in a tanning bed a couple times a week. And
Nice.
it helped with my dopamine and my serotonin. So my emotional would really turn on too. So there's all, if you can't get outside, I guess there's ways to orchestrate, different full spectrum lighting is really helpful too. And just changing out those stupid light bulbs that are not great for you. There's a lot of studies where they even show
Mm-hmm.
like children's classrooms with, the terrible fluorescent lights, and they show like video of the kids just running around and ADHD and can't pay attention and not behaving. And then 30 days later, they change the bulbs, and the same kids are sitting there, they're raising their hand, they're answering the questions, they don't need to, they're not on any meds, and they're just like full on present, and it's a whole different mindset. Literally changes the chemistry. So I mean, we could talk all day. There's a lot of things and tricks that, just to make some subtle changes in your home. Cleaning supplies is a biggie. They're big, huge hormone disruptors. So you want to really F up your hormones. Start using bleaches and Pine Sols and detergents and shampoos and all the things that are gonna screw
Plug
around.
in Glade fragrances.
Yep. Yeah,
Those are great.
I know, I know. And for your animals and your plants and everything living,
Yes.
I mean,
Shampoos, all of it.
yeah, the soap, the deodorants, oh my gosh. And what happens, the biggest thing that one of the biggies in America is the breast cancer, right? Well, you put on the deodorants right here in the lymphatic system. Even the men, the rise of men's
Mm-hmm.
breast cancer is skyrocketed, and it's these aluminum deodorants that literally block the pores so you can't sweat. We're made to sweat. That's how one of the ways we detox. If we're not sweating right here, then everything just gets accumulated, and then you're looking at a person is looking at problems down the line. You know, you don't have to stink. I'm not saying stink and annoy everybody, but if you do a really good liver cleanse, that even when you sweat, it won't stink. It'll just be, you know, like a nothing smell, and you'll be fine. But it's having a really dirty liver that causes the smell of sweat to be a different scent. And so I have a full-on liver course on my website. You know, there's different things that people can do with that. And yeah, I mean, there's great things that we can do to help people.
So I think our big message is don't wait until January. Start doing some things now. Take a look at her website, which I'll have in the description. And then implement it for you and your lifestyle. It doesn't have to be difficult. If you're not doing it for your lifestyle, you'll never succeed with it. Because if you're doing something that's too out of the ordinary for you, the likelihood of you dropping out is huge. I remember when I went on an anti-inflammatory thing back in 2017, I said, I'm not going to drink. Well, I was accustomed to having my wine and so on and so forth. I went, 30 days is too much. I can tell you right now, I will not make it 30 days. So I put a 15-day cap on it. The very next day was 4th of July. People were asking me out, and I went, well, I could start on the 5th. Something was like, nope, you're starting today. I was like, okay. I got to 15 days and I went, I'm going to 30 now. And then I went, okay, now I'm going to go to 45. I got to 90. I got to 6 months. I got to 1 year. I got to 2 years. Then I traveled, drank some tequila, came back, started having a little bit of alcohol, had some dizzy experience. And it's been 6 years since I've had anything again. And every time I go out, I say, do you want to drink tonight? Do you want a glass of wine? And I'll hear, no, you're going to break your streak. Don't do it. It's not going to make you feel, it's not worth it.
Yes.
So why wait until tomorrow? Make it, incorporate it for your lifestyle and what works for you. Look at Dr. Sharnael's website to maybe try some detoxes that would work and fit in with you and have a support system there because she does them monthly. Is there anything else you could tell people that they could maybe start with today?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, cleaning supplies, I would get there's a premium kit, like essential oil
Mm-hmm.
thing that I would have, like everyone should have, honestly, because it'll clear out a lot of the emotional stuff, which clears out a lot of the physical, any of the EMFs. That will help with the electronics. This plug-in will cover 2,000 square feet. You could have them on your phone too. But I want to piggyback on something you said, because that's how I did my 37-day water fast. Is I told myself I'm going to do 24 hours, but then I felt good. So I was like, I'll do 48 hours, and I felt good. And I said, I'll do 72 hours. And then it was a week. And I'm like, well, I could probably keep going. And you know, I think little baby steps, and then I give myself the liberty to just stop or keep going. And that way, because I think confidence is a thing. And you know, if people feel, you know, bad about themselves and they don't keep going, like you said, it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a failure, you know, screw up, whatever, cancel, clear. But when I've done that before, it's like, if you give yourself a little goal, and you can go later, you can go longer if you choose. But then you don't, I wouldn't beat myself up for doing less. Even with the exercise I mentioned, it's like, you know, I'm just going to say 30 minutes, because some days that's all I can get in, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. And or
And
maybe,
some days you can do more.
yeah. And sometimes I want to do more. Sometimes I'm out there 2 hours and I'm like, this is so awesome, I want to keep going. And I will, I'll do it, you know. But if we give ourselves permission to even do 3 days a week or 2 days a week, or just start somewhere, you're going to feel better and you're going to want to keep going. But yeah, go to drsharnel.com, check out, I have like muscle testing classes there. I have crystal oils classes. I have the liver cleanse. I have so many different workshops on mindsets and outcome mapping and the science of miracles. I have the biofeedback stuff. I have soul audits. I'd love to just say hi if any of you are getting anything out of this and you're like, oh, I saw you and let's connect, or like, hey, I'm me. I do miss like actual conferences when I like hug people and all that. When we did the retreat, I'm like, yeah, I can hug people and look in their eyes, like for real. So I'm very visual. So if someone pops in, I'll literally look and say, oh, that's their profile. That's what they look like. Hey, I connect with you, and kind of connect on a visual. But I just want to thank you so much too for your work and what you're doing, and for you just getting these kind of podcasts out there, and for you not giving up, and all of your stories, and just for honoring me to be hanging out with you again. And wish all of y'all well and whatever you're doing. And challenge you, if you want to join the new November, it's the 18th, but you can start now and just get in with us. I have a keto group too that's free. Just jump in there, and we're all exchanging recipes and what have you. And the parasite thing starts December 15th. So if that's something you're interested in, just hit me up on any of those, and we'll connect and have some fun with accountability and a little laughter, maybe a little fun about it. And let's make America hot again.
Well, it sounds like it's full on support, and I'm not surprised with you and your groups, because I think that's your whole heart is in it. You're passionate about it. The DNA of your cells scream it. And the more that we're sharing this information, the more that we're expanding. We're allowing people to be their own light bearer. We're allowing people to take their own responsibility for some of the things they need to do to become what they want to see in the world. Period. So everybody, I want you to like, subscribe, and share. I want you to hit her links, hit my links if you'd like to. Comments are always helpful because it allows the algorithm of these videos to move. I'm sorry, my light went out. So I'm sitting here in the dark now, but it's okay. It's okay. As long as you can still hear me, we're good. So, all right. Anything else you want to add before we say sayonara?
No, just thank you so much. I got kiddos in the house now and the lawn going, so I'm gonna get peace out. I got one more interview here in a minute too, but I just love you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Love you too. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.